In this video, I want to sit with you for a moment and share a story that still moves me deeply. Today I'm sharing one of the most extraordinary healing journeys I've ever witnessed. A 72-year-old woman, gentle, determined, and very ill, was able to come off dialysis simply by changing what she ate first at each meal, along with learning one quiet, kidney-saving cooking habit her doctors never mentioned. Here's the part that still gives me chills. After just 18 months on dialysis, her catheter was removed. She no longer needed it. Her kidney function rose from a GFR of 9.1 to 37.5, a 312% improvement. That kind of recovery is rare. But the healing didn't stop there. These same foods helped reverse her insulin resistance. She lost 45 pounds. Her cholesterol fell from 296 to 155. And her blood pressure? It was cut in half. I've seen many patients improve, but this was something different. If you know someone living with kidney disease, please share this story with them. Not as a promise, but as hope. Because despite what you may have been told, this isn't impossible. And once you see how this happened, everything starts to change. Let's slow this down and begin where everything truly changed for her: the food. This was the foundation. What mattered most wasn't just what she ate, but when she ate it. Every single meal began the same way: fruit first, protein later. Before touching protein, she gently prepared her kidneys with fruit, just like the ones you're seeing on the screen right now. So next time you sit down to eat, pause for a moment. Before the eggs, the meat, or the beans, start with fruit. One fruit I recommend daily, especially this time of year, is red grapes. They're low in protein, low in calories, and rich in resveratrol, a powerful antioxidant. That combination makes them deeply protective for tired kidneys. Another beautiful option is mangosteen. Often called the queen of fruits, it's loaded with rare compounds called xanthones. These are being studied for their ability to calm inflammation, lower cholesterol, and support blood sugar balance. It's no wonder drug companies want to turn it into a pill, but nature already gave it to us as food. And then there's tamarillo. This fruit is brimming with antioxidants your kidneys are quietly asking for: carotenoids, anthocyanins, and phenolic compounds. They help cool inflammation and soften the damage caused by diabetes and high blood pressure. Tamarillo also contains pectin, a gentle fiber known for helping the body release excess cholesterol and sugar. This was the heart of her healing. This is how a 72-year-old woman was able to walk away from dialysis. The diet came first. And while fruit alone isn't the whole story, it was the doorway everything else passed through. There's one more gentle piece your meals truly need, and it's something humans have quietly relied on for thousands of years: whole grains. I know there's a lot of noise online right now. You'll hear voices insisting we're meant to live on steak alone, that our ancestors ate only meat. But when you step back and look at real history calmly, honestly, a different picture appears. Nearly every major civilization on Earth was built on whole grains. They weren't a side dish. The earliest known civilization, the Sumerians of Mesopotamia, lived on emmer, barley, and other grains. The Romans thrived on spelt and millet. In the Americas, maize and amaranth fed entire cultures. In ancient China, it was millet and brown rice. Even something as simple as porridge has sustained humans for centuries: warm, filling, and deeply nourishing. And this matters more than most people realize. Your kidney-supporting diet won't truly work unless whole grains come before protein at each meal. This isn't a trend, it's how the human body has been fed since the beginning. Grains gently slow digestion, protect blood sugar, and ease the metabolic load your kidneys carry. Some of my favorite low-protein whole grains are often overlooked. Cornmeal, for example, is a quiet hero. It's low in calories, low in potassium, and lower in protein than many other grains, making it especially kind to kidneys and blood sugar. It's affordable, easy to find, and incredibly versatile. Pearl barley is another beautiful option. Even lower in protein, it's consistently linked to healthier cholesterol and better glucose control. Try making it a regular part of your meals. And don't forget air-popped, unsalted popcorn, a comforting, satisfying snack that fills you up without overwhelming your body with protein or calories. This isn't about restriction. It's about returning to what the human body remembers and allowing your kidneys to finally exhale. And don't stop there. Everything you see here is worth welcoming into your kitchen. These are gentle, reliable foods your body already knows how to use. Let's talk about oats, especially steel-cut oats. I recommend them often because they quietly do so much good. They support healthy blood sugar, help lower cholesterol, and they're affordable and easy to find. There's nothing fancy about them, and that's exactly why they work. Now, vegetables. This is the third pillar of the human diet, and one your kidneys deeply depend on. There's a long list of vegetables you can enjoy daily, and the ones you see on screen are all low in protein and low in potassium, making them safe and supportive for people with CKD. One standout is green beans. They're truly special. Among legumes, they're one of the few you can eat every day without worry. A squeeze of lemon, a little steam, and you have something simple and nourishing. They're rich in fiber and antioxidants, yet much lower in protein than other legumes, exactly what struggling kidneys need. Radishes are another beautiful choice, especially when they're in season. They have a crisp, cleansing quality and contain compounds called glucosinolates, which help activate your body's natural detox pathways. Think of them as gently waking up your system. Then there's chayote squash, a quiet superfood many people overlook. Mild, slightly sweet, and incredibly easy to love, it's a wonderful substitute for potatoes in salads or warm dishes. When eaten regularly, it supports both the kidneys and the liver, and research even shows it may help reduce fat accumulation in the liver. And finally, endive, especially red endive. This is one of those foods people rarely eat, but should. It's packed with antioxidants and natural plant compounds that stimulate digestion and support detoxification. Bitter foods like this have a special way of reminding the body how to cleanse itself. These foods don't shout. They don't promise miracles. They simply do their job quietly, gently, day after day, giving your kidneys the steady support they've been asking for. If your goal is to protect your kidneys and to stay as far away from dialysis as possible, this is what your daily food needs to look like. These are the very foods that helped a 72-year-old woman step off dialysis and reclaim her life. And here's the piece that matters most: before protein ever enters the picture, your body must feel full and satisfied by low-protein, low-calorie foods. When you do this, everything shifts. Your blood sugar steadies. Your kidneys breathe easier. The damage slows. Of course, there are many other foods you could eat, but this is where I want you to be careful. Kidney disease is not one size fits all. Your lab results matter. Your stage matters. What helps someone at stage 2 can quietly harm someone at stage 4. And unfortunately, much of the advice floating around on social media ignores this reality. I'm deeply grateful that so many people are already seeing improvements just from my free videos. That truly means everything to me. but your kidneys deserve more than guesswork. They deserve clarity, precision. Let's return for a moment to the woman we've been talking about, the one who came off dialysis after 18 months by following a renal diet. Because I know what some of you are thinking right now. I've been eating these foods for months. Is that really enough? And this is such an important question, because it gets to the heart of why diets so often fail, especially in kidney disease. This woman didn't heal because she simply knew about the renal diet. She didn't heal because these foods were sitting in her pantry. She healed because, finally, she was able to follow the diet consistently, day after day, and she learned one crucial dietary habit I'll show you next. Here's something that may surprise you: she had been prescribed a renal diet years before she ever started dialysis. This wasn't new information. What changed was her ability to actually live it. Life got in the way. She was an event planner, busy, constantly surrounded by rich foods, salty foods, convenience foods. She ate what was available. Not because she didn't care, but because she was exhausted and overwhelmed. So the diet became occasional instead of daily. And slowly, the damage accumulated. The sodium drove her blood pressure higher and higher. The excess calories and fats pushed her into insulin resistance. The constant overload of protein placed stress her kidneys could no longer handle. Eventually, dialysis became the only option left. In medical studies, this pattern is called a Western-style diet. And when a doctor says, "There's nothing you can do, diet doesn't matter," this is what they mean. A diet doesn't matter if it isn't followed. But when it is followed consistently, gently, and in a way that fits your real life, something extraordinary can begin to happen. And I want to say this gently, because it matters. This isn't about blame. Not at all. Now you can see where the power truly is on your plate, in your daily choices. And that means something profound: you are not powerless in this. You have more influence over your health than you may have been led to believe. Most people never realize this. And once you do, everything starts to feel a little less frightening. So let's move to the question I know is sitting in your mind right now: what about protein? How much is actually safe after all these fruits, grains, and vegetables? The beautiful thing is, we don't have to guess. We can simply look at the real-life case we've been talking about. The very diet that helped a 72-year-old woman step away from dialysis gives us the answer. Her meals provided about 80% of calories from complex carbohydrates, the fruits, whole grains, and vegetables you've just seen. About 10% came from healthy fats, and just 10% from protein. When you eat this way consistently, your diet begins to work with your kidneys instead of against them. Blood sugar calms. Pressure eases. The load on your kidneys softens. Now the next question is a practical one. What does this actually look like on a plate? And yes, after all those plants, how much steak, or protein, really fits? Let's make this very real and very simple. Imagine a meal in front of you. You begin with fruit, let's say a handful of sweet, refreshing grapes. Then you add tender green beans, a serving of chayote squash, and a bowl of whole grains, like oats. That already looks nourishing, grounding, and complete. Now comes the question everyone worries about: how much protein do I need to add? When we run this exact meal through a nutrition tracker, something surprising happens. The app automatically counts the small amounts of protein already present in these foods. And when we check the totals, we're already there. We've reached about 10% of calories from protein without adding any meat at all. This is the moment I want you to remember. If your goal is to protect your kidneys and avoid dialysis, protein is not something you need to chase, it's something you need to respect and limit. So the next time someone tells you your body can't survive without steak, bacon, or heavy protein at every meal, please remember this example. Your body was never meant to be overloaded. Now, there's one more piece we can't ignore. A kidney-saving diet isn't only about what you eat, it's also about how you cook. In the case study we've been discussing, the researchers emphasized a hidden threat most people never hear about: advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. AGEs form when foods are cooked at very high temperatures. Frying, grilling, roasting, baking — these methods allow sugars to bind to proteins or fats in a process called glycation. The result is a group of compounds that are deeply damaging to the kidneys. AGEs promote oxidative stress. They do the opposite of what antioxidants do. And this matters because people with CKD are almost always antioxidant depleted even if they don't realize it yet. Your body needs antioxidants to protect your kidneys from diabetes, high blood pressure, and inflammation. If you keep eating high AGE foods, your body is forced to use up what little antioxidant reserve it has just to survive the meal. There's nothing left for healing. That's why antioxidants through diet and, when appropriate, supplementation can make such a difference. In fact, the science supporting antioxidant support in CKD is so strong that I've included specific ones in my own renal multivitamin. So how do you lower AGEs? Gently. Choose cooking methods like boiling, steaming, and poaching. Avoid grilling, frying, and roasting. Stay away from high AGE foods like processed meats, aged cheeses, fried foods, and high-fat dairy. These have no place in a kidney-healing diet. And remember, AGEs don't only come from food. Cigarette smoke and alcohol are major sources, too. Avoid them as much as you can. Your kidneys will feel the difference. Thank you for spending this time with me. Take care of yourself. God bless, and I'll see you soon.